Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel that takes you deep inside the San Francisco 49ers. I am Jack Hammer. I am your host. I am with the Santa Rosa Press Democrat, and I am here at Levi Stadium where today the 49ers held their 10th practice of training camp. That's right. We are now into the double digits as far as training camp practices go. Number 10, 8-7, Dwight Clark Day here in Santa Clara with the 49ers. Also the final day that the 49ers faithful will be able to watch training camp as well. So make sure you check out those podcasts and everything else around YouTube and around uh, the Twitter sphere and all that stuff. When it comes to the content creators that were at camp, they will not be here for the rest of the duration of training camp. We have another practice tomorrow out in Las Vegas next week. Today, like I said, Dwight Clark Day, and it was a long practice. The 49ers had the day off yesterday, coming back, and they made this one of their heavier practices so far of training camp. And on top of that, it was hot. It was hotter than heck out there. Everybody was sweating, and so it was a tough one for the players. When it comes to that, you could tell a little bit by some of what was happening on the field. But at the same time, if you were to look at today's day, I would characterize Monday's practice, day number 10 here in Santa Clara, as a defensive day. The defense winning the day overall. We're going to get into that. We're going to break it all down. We got a couple folks over in the comment section. I got to shout out my guy Lucas over here from Austria because he is a member of the Toolbox. That's why he has a $sign next to his name. It says, "Let's go, Jack. Let's go, Lucas. Let's get this thing going." Also got my buddy over here, the notorious GAV, Big Gav from Wales. I've been working on this one all day long. I'm gonna butcher it, but you can tell me if I got it right. And I do have some Jack Coletto video that I'll be sending over to you once I get a chance to look through the videos that I shot today. But I've been working on my Welsh for Gav, so I'm gonna just say, hey Gav, thanks for tuning in, or as I should say, diolch. Hopefully I did it okay there saying that in Welsh. I've been practicing that thing all day, and it probably sounds awful, but I appreciate it, and appreciate everybody for tuning in. Now let's get to it. Let's get into it. Um, we have Double B Studio. I haven't seen Double B for a while. Awesome to see you. Says, "Let's go Niners" from Arizona. Absolutely. Let's get into it. 49 Empire says, "Hey Jack, I do video editing. Could I have permission to make you an intro video to your podcast for your church? Hey, if you want to try it out, go ahead, send it over to me. I don't really use those too much. I do have one that Jesse Naylor, who I used to do a show with, had put together. I don't use it partly because of YouTube, and when you get on there, sometimes it can be a little tricky with keeping people engaged. But hey, if you have one you want to put together, send it over. I might even use it. Hey, and thank you very much, Gav. It looks like I hit that right. I'll have the I'm fluent. I got a word down. I wasn't so good on the other ones, but like I said, if we look at today's practice overall, um, the oh, look at this. Now this is a good one. This vasectomy is killing me right now. Prayers for me. Hey, WB Studio. The good part about you having a vasectomy is that you're stuck on you can't move. You are stuck watching Jack Hammer break down 49ers training camp. You're stuck watching everybody on YouTube break these practices down. That's fantastic. For any of the guys out there that might have to get a vasectomy, if you're a big basketball fan, let me give you a suggestion. Plan your vasectomy on the day prior to the start of the NCAA tournament so that way you have an excuse. You can tell your wife, "Hey, I can't move. I got to sit down. The doctor told me I got to sit on this donut for the next day." That'll give you at least Thursday of the NCAA tournament just to sit there that opening day. You watch basketball day. Nobody can yell at you. Anyway, but yeah, prayers out to you. Hope you feel better. Hope that goes away quickly because that does not sound like any kind of fun at all. Already got to that one. Now let's go ahead and let's get into it. Man, you're killing me with these. That'll be. Let's get into it. In terms of practice today, it was a rough one for Brock Purdy. We'll get into his numbers. He was 8 of 17 today overall. I'll do his numbers first. It was a roller coaster ride. This was one of those. It was we used to call it the Jimmy Garoppolo experience back in the day when he'd have those days and it was just like this, and he'd do that in the games. But with Brock Purdy today, he was 8 of 17. He had 3 touchdowns. He had a touchdown run, but he also had an interception. And as those numbers would suggest, 8 of 17, it wasn't a very good day. The 3 touchdowns and the touchdown run all coming during red zone drills. They had an extended focus today on working in the red zone. But if we just kind of go through his day, let me break it down for you. The second play of the day it was a really nice one, and that's really where it's kind of opened up, right? So it opens up for Purdy. He has a really nice play action deep ball throw to Ray McLeod. It was a 30-yard gain, play action rollout, kind of slide those right. get it down the field, 30-yard completion to Ray McLeod. One of the really nice throws that we've seen from him, beating the coverage of, um, I believe that was Diameter Lenore. What on that play, what had happened was McLeod had started off on the left side. That's why Lenore is matched up in man coverage. McLeod running away from him. That's that deep over route. Really nice ball from Purdy to the wide receiver. Really nice play. Big gain of 30. That coming out, he opened up it with a throwaway. So he's now 1 of 2. Then from there, you get down, like I said, red zone was a major focus today. They get down in there. So they're working from the first series of downs. They went 20, then they moved the ball to 15, then they moved to 10. Didn't matter if it was a good play or not. They were just kind of working red zone plays at different depths. And they did that with Purdy, they did that with Lance, and they did that with Darnold. Now, so like for the first one, Purdy's at the 20-yard line. He tries to go deep to Christian McCaffrey, who's running a wheel route. It was completed, meaning that the guy caught the ball, but it was an incompletion because McCaffrey was not able to get both feet in bounds. The ball kind of carried him a little bit out of bounds. Not a bad throw, but not a good throw either. It's one of those in between, if that makes sense. And then after that, you had a bad throw from Purdy to Deebo Samuel. It's that little route where the receiver runs in, plants their foot, and then spins back out. And when they run that the other direction, it's returned because they're coming inside. I can't remember the name of it when you're running away from doing it away. But anyway, that was the route that was being run. Deebo Samuel was open. The throw from Lance just was not a good one. It was too far outside, incompletion. He does hit McCaffrey on a screen, but again, just not really good. It wasn't a good start to the day. At that point, he was 2 of 3 with a screen pass completion and a deep ball. He was 2 of 5, excuse me, and the deep ball throw to McLeod. So 2 of 5 to start off with. Then he finds his rhythm. He get the next series working from the red zone. They start with the ball at the 10 this time. They're just working plays from the 10-yard line, and that's it. First down, Purdy to Juwan Jennings, touchdown. Jennings beating the coverage of Charvarius Ward. Comes back the next play, boom. It's Tate Martin for a touchdown. The completion to Tate Martin was a slant. So the first one, Jennings running an out, touchdown. A little slant over the middle to Tate Martin against Diameter Lenore, touchdown. And then an in route, about a 10-yard in for Willie Snead, beating the coverage of Charvarius Ward on that one. So they got Charvarius Ward twice. They got Diameter Lenore once. Really nice session right there for Brock Purdy. Really the best that we've seen of him in the red zone. Three for three touchdowns like that. We hadn't seen that yet through training camp. So you go into the break. From there you go into that special teams break that they do. He's doing okay. He's like 5 of 8, 3 touchdowns, looking really well. Then they open up the first possession. After that is now they're working on move the ball, but instead of doing it from the full field, they're putting it at the 20. So they're working just move the ball in the red zone. First and 10 at the 20, and then whatever happens from there, right? So they open it up. First play of the possession, an 11-yard completion from Purdy to Samuel. Gets you a first down. Now you're at the 9, so first and goal from the 9. You get a 7-yard run from McCaffrey, gets you down to the 2. And there you have Purdy throwing it out to Danny Gray in the left flat, has him open, puts the ball on the receiver, and he drops it. Can't hang on to it, so it's an incompletion. Should have been a touchdown right there. And then you get to third down, so now you're facing third and goal at the 2, excuse me. And you have solid coverage. Purdy's not able to find anybody. He goes boom. You could see him going through it. He's here, and then he gets here. You could see him go through 4 guys. Nothing's open. Takes off running to the right side, and he gets to the right front pylon before everybody else. Touchdown 49ers, touchdown with using his legs for Brock Purdy. But it was really nice standing where I was standing. You could see him really go here. You could see him go to 4 guys before he moved. Really good pocket. Good job by that offensive line of protecting him. And so that was good presence by Purdy not to bail too soon. And also, once it wasn't there, start to move to make something happen. That was a really nice job from Brock Purdy. So you go at that point right now, you're feeling pretty good about Brock Purdy's day. He's 5 of 8, opens it up now. That little move the ball session, getting into the end zone, things are looking good. But then the wheels kind of come off. They get back down. They do another one of these little sessions. You have a run for 5, and then Davis Price gets stopped for no gain by Fred Warner. Now you're left with third and goal from the 5. McCaffrey with pressure from Kerry Hyder Jr. has to throw the ball away. In that situation, they would have kicked the field goal. They didn't do the field goal there, but just wasn't a good one. 0 for 1 there. And then That was the first of what was 4 straight misses, because then from there they go back to the middle of the field. They're kind of just working middle of the field type of plays, like a 3rd and 4. McCaffrey goes deep down the left sideline to Deebo Samuel. He has Deebo Samuel open and overthrows him. And it was one of those balls where I think Samuel kind of got caught in between, the run under it and looking for the ball, if that makes sense. It was, regardless, the ball was too far out, incompletion, 3rd and 7. And this 3rd and 7 play that follows is really, I think, the most concerning play of the whole day, in that they're bringing pressure and Purdy gets back and there's pressure coming. And he just throws the ball up in the middle of the field to George Kittle, and the ball almost gets intercepted. But this is the kind of garbage that we used to see from Jimmy Garoppolo. Those, hit your back foot. There's pressure coming. I'm just going to throw this thing up and see what happens. Hopefully, somebody on the other end will make a play. This doesn't happen very often with Brock Purdy. It did here. We've seen it now. This is really the 3rd time in camp that I've seen it. His 2 interceptions that Tayshaun Gibson had, the one on day 1, the one last time we were out here. Those are both kind of those balls where he's got some pressure on him, and instead of just grounding it, he just kind of flips it out there. And that's kind of what this one was, except for it's in the middle of the field, and he was just lucky it wasn't a pick. That was the worst play that I've seen from Brock Purdy throughout this training camp, and probably the worst play that I've seen of him since he joined the 49ers, especially for sure since he took over again in the Miami game. He might have had a couple of bad plays last year during training camp, but this one was just really bad, especially considering he's supposed to be the starting quarterback, and that just wasn't a good play for him. Then you get into move the ball, and during the move the ball, the defense putting a lot of pressure on them, doing a good job. The first play, they tried to run a sweep around the left side with Christian McCaffrey. They get dropped for a loss of 2, so now you're backed up at 2nd and 12. He tries to go. There's pressure coming on the 2nd and 12 play. He has Christian McCaffrey running a wheel route up the left sideline, kind of similar to what they did in the red zone. Because there's pressure, he's got to get the ball out of his hand quick. It's a perfect throw, but because the ball came out so early, McCaffrey isn't ready for it. And so by the time he turns around to look for it, the ball's already like right here. And so by the time the ball's already there, he doesn't even have time to get his hands up. It was right on him. If he's running and his head's turned around, he's going to be able to catch it. But because the ball had to come out so quick, it doesn't work out. It's kind of, it's not a miscommunication from either one. It's just the pressure coming and McCaffrey not able to get his head around in time for when the ball's coming out of Purdy's hands. So now you're left with 3rd and 12. You get a completion from Purdy to on a little. Everything's covered deep. Gets it to McCaffrey for 8. Sets up 4th and 4. On 4th and 4, they bring an all-out blitz. McCaffrey tries to get the ball over the middle to McCaffrey, and Dre Greenlaw is right there. Gets his hand on it. Ball bounces up. Tayshaun Gibson kicking Purdy's ass this training camp. Gets his 3rd interception of training camp and takes the play the other way. That was how the move the ball period ended for Brock Purdy. He came back out later on for one more, but this one was more of a run heavy focus. They were able to pick up about 22 yards on the first 3 plays on runs by McCaffrey, and then it ends on a good note. It was 1st and 10 around the 44. Purdy with a play action rolls out to his right, gets out there, he scans the field. There's nobody open. So he starts to kind of move around and then takes off back across the field to his left. And as he's running to his left, George Kittle starts coming back to him along the right sideline. Purdy hits him for a gain of about 14, gets it down to about the 30. That's the end of the session for Brock Purdy. They called it off at that point as far as the move the ball period right there. And like I said, overall, 8 of 13 on the day. Not a very good one. It was a rough. I think this is the toughest practice, the roughest practice for Brock Purdy since day 3. Just not a very good one overall. 49ers defense did a number on him today, and he just struggled. So it was a bad day overall for Brock Purdy. Let me see if there's some questions that I've missed. It looks like I might have missed a super chat or 2. I don't know. Let me just double check. That's double B. I'm just going to scroll through really quick and see if I have any questions. Andrew wants to know, how does Sam Darnold's arm compare to Purdy's and Jimmy's? Sam Darnold's arm is stronger than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not much stronger than Brock Purdy. It's about the same. He's not. When it comes to the deep ball throwers for the 49ers, the best deep ball thrower on this team is Brandon Allen. if you want to have somebody that's going to rifle in a shot in the 15 to 20 yard range, then that's going to be um, Trey Lance. And then I think Purdy and Darnold, whatever. Purdy has plenty of arm strength to be successful in this offense and move the ball. We've seen that already in live games. But well, the thing with Sourdough Sam is he's sometimes, I'm more of a Huddles fan, being of the older variety. Huddles was a much more successful mascot for the 49ers. He was the mascot for 4 Super Bowls. Actually, I think it might have been 5 Super Bowls for the 49ers. And then they benched him for the Sourdough Sam character. And I've just never been a big fan. And so I saw him on the field today, and I had to take him out. And I don't know. We'll see him. He should be back by the time we get back to Santa Clara for the second preseason game of the. So that's when we'll see more of Sourdough Sam. But he's going to be on the mend for a little while. Like I said, more of a Huddles guy. Huddles was uh, a much more successful mascot. Why was Purdy yelling at Danny Gray? Because somebody ran the wrong route. I think Danny Gray, there in the red zone, there was the play that was a throwaway. I don't think Danny Gray went where he was supposed to go, and so Purdy was letting him know. I think that's what happened there. I definitely heard the yelling at Gray, and it sounded like Gray was supposed to get over to the left side, and he didn't. He got stuck over on the right side. So that's kind of where. Um, Texas Niner says, Jack, that's not what I heard from Brad Graham. Could it be construed that Purdy had a better day than you're saying? Um, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. It's like I don't feel like it was a good day. Now, I haven't heard Brad's explanation as to why he feels like it was a better day. Like again, it was 8 of 17. He did have 4 touchdowns, but the interception was a bad pick. I mean, it's not a bad pick. He went to the right spot. It's a really nice play by the defender. Um, the the near interception, the throw that he made to the only the one type of ball that I was talking about, where he's throwing it over the middle to George Kittle, I really didn't like that. The you know the ball that was down the left sideline to Deebo Samuel, again, that's one that I think you just got to get more air under it. I don't think it was a very good. I don't think it was a very good throw. The ball was a little flat. Um, so and no, I mean, and that's why you're saying 3 touchdowns in the red zone sounds okay. Well, it's 4 because he had the one run. So like I said, that was a really good session. That the way that he performed in that area was really good. But the overall day, I didn't feel was quite as good. You can't just throw the ball up in the middle over the field. Teams are going to pick it off. The play over the middle to that was picked off on the 4th down. I mean, that's a tough play because you have a good defense that's out there, and defense is going to win sometimes. It was a good decision by Purdy where he was going with the ball, so it wasn't like that was a bad pick, but it just the offense wasn't moving the way that we've seen it move prior with Brock Purdy in this training camp. So that's where I get the feeling that today wasn't good. Now, who knows? We're going to be out here again tomorrow. We're going to be going out um, to Vegas, and we're going to get to see him go against the Raiders. He's not going to be playing most likely in the game in the preseason opener. That's Brock Purdy. But again, sorry, 3 touchdowns in the red zone, running touchdown right now doesn't count. I don't know. Maybe you're talking to somebody else over there, but it's just, again, his day to day I felt was a little bit more of a struggle than we have seen in the past, and he's going to have the bounce back from that, and that's okay. Here's the thing: today was the 10th practice. It was the 7th practice of training camp for Brock Purdy. I feel like he had stacked up multiple good days. Day 1, which was actually day 2, not a good day, and then he had day 3 up until today were all good practices. Today, not so hot, and that's okay. I think it's totally fine. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit when we get to Trey Lance's day, because Trey Lance had stacked multiple days up, And yeah, I'll be doing shows out of Vegas for sure. So that's the deal with Brock Purdy's day. Now, let's move on. Again, it's okay to have a bad day. It's training camp, and it's day 10. And heaven forbids, I don't know how many times I said this last year when we were seeing struggles during camp with the offense, and I'd say, chill out. It's day 10. We got a long ways to go before there's a game and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, Brock Purdy had a rough day today. Okay, he had another interception. He's thrown 4 now. He's turned the ball over 5 times in 7 practices. He's got to get. He's getting better for the most part. He is still quarterback 1. Don't get me wrong there. It was just a rough day. Now, Sam Darnold, he came in. He took the first team reps with the second offense, and really working just with the second offensive line, because his first snap was a deep throw to Deebo Samuel on an over route off a play action. They picked up 25 yards. Deebo running from left to right. Play action, nice throw from Darnold, big completion. So, same thing that we saw from Brock Purdy, we saw it from Sam Darnold here. The next turn for the veteran came during the red zone. First play, Darnold tried to hit Chris Conley, who was running a deep in-breaking route to the left side. Didn't see the linebacker. His pass was nearly intercepted by Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. 2 plays later from the 10, Darnold hit Ray McLeod in the back left corner of the end zone, and that was his touchdown that he had today. Then we had this, again, because he's rotating with, it was a long day, he's rotating with Trey Lance. They gave some reps to Brandon Allen. So he sat out for a while. We had the special teams break. He comes back. Darnold, in his next series, it came following the red zone period. Didn't get any of that red zone work after the special teams period. Completed a couple of check down throws, one to Ty Davis Price, the other to Deebo Samuel while moving out of the pocket due to pressure. He may have even been across the line of scrimmage on that one. I'm not quite sure, but it was pretty close. And then he had one series during move the ball, which actually produced the longest play of the day. It was 33 from the 42. He had pressure on Darnold. He had to move up and out of the pocket to the right side as he's rolling to his right. Braden Willis breaks. He's open deep down the right sideline. Darnold hits him, and they're able to get a nice pickup of 35 yards. That possession ends up leading to a field goal. So a nice job there. You look at Darnold's the overall 6-9 with a touchdown, and I think Darnold had a nice day. I think of the top 3 quarterbacks on the Flyers, you saw Darnold have maybe the best of the 3, 6-9, the 1 touchdown coming in that early red zone. So a nice overall day for Darnold today. Now let's see where we are. Just double checking again in the comments to see if there's anything I need to address. B. Deanna says, Jack, this is practice. Purdy has already demonstrated that he doesn't turn the ball over. Okay, yeah, it's practice. And I'm telling you what happened at practice. And he's turned the ball over 5 times in 6 days. And when you look at Brock Purdy's turnovers, as I mentioned to somebody earlier today on another social media platform, when you look at his turnovers, they haven't occurred during the segments where they are working on like move the ball stuff, where they're really working on a very specific situational type of thing like that. When they've worked in the red zone, when they've worked on move the ball, those types of things. He has 1 turnover, the fumble. He doesn't have any of his interceptions there. All of his interceptions are kind of coming in that middle area where they're working on certain things like a 2nd and 8, and they're running a series of plays on 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10, that kind of stuff. So if it makes you feel better to look at it that way, that's fine. And that's partly the way that I do look at it when I say that he's quarterback 1 and been the most impressive. Andrew May says, Sam Darnold is the truth. That is right. He is the truth. Don't forget it. Do not forget Sam Darnold. Something like that. Hey, make sure you guys hit that like button. We got 217 people in there, like Randall says. Randall, member of the Toolbox. He has 202 at the time. Says, how about smashing that like button? If you guys could do that for me, that'd be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. So Brandon Willis with a nice play. Let's see what else we got. All right. So Truck, I like this one. He says Hammer gives the best after practice insight. I hope so. I spent a lot of time putting this stuff together, and so hopefully you guys like it. Jimmy had 7 picks in his last 2 practices. The Raiders. You're absolutely right. And we're going to go down. We're going to get to see him go up against the Flyers. And I went back. Looking back, I looked a little bit at last year's numbers, and Brock Purdy on the first day of training camp last year, his rookie season, his first practice as a 49er in training camp, he had 2 picks. I think every quarterback on the Flyers roster that day had a pick, but Again, a couple of things. One, these are training camp stats. Training camp stats give you a snapshot, and then you have to get into the specifics of what took place. And I went through those specifics, and I explained why I feel like it was a little bit of a rough day. Just the lack of ability to move the ball, I felt was a problem. Sure, he did good in the red zone, but today with the way they moved the ball, they wouldn't have gotten down to the red zone on any of their possessions. So I think that's part of it. Let's go now. Let's get over to Lance because everybody's talking quarterbacks. We got 221 people, and I know everybody here wants to hear about Trey Lance's day. And what I'm going to say about Lance is he had put together a string of stacking really good days together from day 4 until day 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 practices in a row. Really good performance out of Trey Lance. That ended today. Today wasn't such a good practice. His first pass was a precursor of what was to come overall today from the 49ers defense. Lance, play fake, trying to hit Deebo Samuel on that crossing route, kind of that over route that I've been talking about. All the 49ers quarterbacks were working on early on, but he threw a pick right to Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. He was right there, right in the way. Boom, kick it the other way. This was just the second time that we've seen Lance with a turnover in camp, but that was just a bad one. Again, over route, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, gaining depth, making the play there. Remember earlier I was talking about Flannigan-Fowles when I was going again on about Sam Darnold. Flannigan-Fowles had a near pick there. So he gets this interception early in practice, and that near pick of Darnold came a few plays later. So you could see that he was having a really nice day today, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles was. The next series for Lance came down in the red zone, and this is where, so when they did the 20, 15, and 10, Lance didn't get a rotation. That just went to Darnold. So for Lance, his work in the red zone, his first work came from the 10. So they ran from the 10, 3 straight plays. First down, he connects with Chris Conley on a quick slant. It was a gain of 8. Had a lot of people yelling and screaming at me on Twitter about these being touchdowns. I don't call them touchdowns unless the referee raises his hands. I don't sit there. I'm not going to make judgments, just like I don't make judgments on a lot of sacks that we see from some other people. I watch the game. I watch the play. I make notes. But when it comes to touchdowns, there's referees on the field who call that stuff. And so Conley, quick slant, gain of 8. He was tackled at the 2, but it was a nice completion. Next play, again from the 10. Lance, they call a draw, quarterback draw, takes a step back, takes off up the field. They called him down at the 5, partly because he was touched down at the 5 by rookie free safety Jair Brown. Jair Brown had him. It was right there. If this is a game, Jair Brown doesn't stop his feet and plant and say, okay, I'm going to tag you. Jair Brown runs through Trey Lance, and I think that would have been a hell of a collision at the 5-yard line if it was actually in a game situation. I still don't think he would have made it, but who knows? Referees marked him down at the 5 because this is training camp and they don't actually stop. He ran in the end zone. Some people thought it was a touchdown. Referee never signaled a touchdown, so it wasn't. The third play of the series ended when pressure forced Lance out of the pocket. He was able to make a nice throw, get it out of bounds, avoided a negative play there. Would have allowed for them to kick a field goal. So, all in all, a nice little series there. 1 for 1 is 1 for 2, but the throwaway, that's not a bad play. Not too bad for Lance there. Then you get down, you have a special teams break, comes back, 1st and 10 from the 20. So Lance now working this move the ball thing inside the red zone. First down, hits Ray McLeod with a quick throw to left for a gain of 4. Followed that completion up by drawing a defensive tackle, Kevin Givens, offside. That set up a 3rd and short. Then from there, he had you had the first down run by Jordan Mason. Mason picks up the first down. On 1st and 2nd down, he runs it 2 more times. So Jordan Mason, 3 consecutive runs gets you down, and you're facing 3rd and 3. Lance tries to go to the left side to Juwan Jennings. Would have been going for the touchdown because the ball was at the 3. Cornerback A.J. Parker. Everybody knows who A.J. Parker is, but A.J. Parker was there on Juwan Jennings. Tight coverage, was able to force the ball, get his hand on it, incompletion, and breaks it up. They have to kick a field goal as well. So from that standpoint for Lance, no touchdowns on the day, but he was doing a good job. That was a nice little series. Like I said, he was able to use his voice to draw an offsides, get 5 free yards. He was able to get that quick little throw to McLeod and all those things, so not bad at all. Then you get into the move the ball period, and this was just a quick 3 and out for Lance. They opened up with a run to Kalen LeBourne, dropped for a loss of 2. Then Lance tries to go deep to Tay Martin down the right sideline, overthrown, incomplete. Martin was behind the defense. would have been a big play. Ball was not there. Very similar to some of the other misses that we've seen today, and a lot of the misses we've seen throughout training camp. These deep balls from the 49ers quarterbacks, not named Brock Purdy, are usually deep overthrows. That was the case today for Lance. Purdy also had that one, but we're talking about Lance now. And that was it. So quick 3 and out for Lance. He finishes his day 3 of 7 with a pick. Not a good day for him either. Like, you look through his numbers. He was 2 of 5 on back-to-back days. Days 2 and 3 of training camp. He was 2 of 5, 3 of 7 today. Those are his worst 3 days of camp. So it's going to happen. Some days are going to be yours. What's the saying go? Some days you're the windshield. Some days you're the bug. 49ers quarterbacks today were pretty much the bug, while the 49ers defense was the windshield. Brandon Allen, he saw some work early in practice. He got in the red zone, completed all 3. Brandon Allen was tremendous today because he completed 3 passes in the red zone, and none of them were able to get in the end zone. These were 3 passes from the 10-yard line. None of them got across the end zone, the goal line. I like Brandon Allen. I like the fact that he can throw the ball deep. I just I wonder sometimes what is going on here with him. Let's see what we got. You guys got any good comments for me that I can bring up that we can get to? Flave in the house says the ref spoke. No touchdowns. If Jack said there were touchdowns, he's just as biased as all the Trey stands out there. Whatever about that. But again, for me, when it came to the touchdowns that I recorded today for Brock Purdy, the referees were all putting their hands in the air. There was one ball, the one to Willie Snead. There was questions on it. The referee ruled it as a touchdown, which is why I put it down as a touchdown. Beyond that, I don't want to get into the stuff with the Trey fans and all that kind of stuff. But let's do this. Hit the like button. B. Deanna over here saying slam that like button. Yes, please. 236 people in the house. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Tackle it, as 49er Empire said. Now, I think that's about enough of the quarterbacks, don't you think? Real quick, we got Andrea. She wants to know if I think Eric Armstead is worth this salary? Eric Armstead, I think, is one of the most underrated players on the 49ers defense. I think Eric Armstead as a defensive tackle is very good. I think he might be a little overpaid at defensive tackle, but when the 49ers paid him, they were looking for a guy that was going to play inside and outside. So take that for what it's worth. But I do think that Eric Armstead, for what he brings, if he can stay healthy and he can make this work for the next couple of years, he will end up being worth what the 49ers paid him. The 49ers might even try to extend him a little bit more to save some money. So we'll see against the cap. We'll see what they decide to do there. There's some other really good questions, and I want to get to the defense. I want to get to the rest of them. Jedi, though, this is a good one. Well, first off, Gav says, what are you seeing of Kerry Hyder? I can mention Hyder doing a good job putting some pressure on for one of the plays today. We know what Hyder is. He's a really nice rotational piece for the 49ers that can play if need be. He can start if necessary. He had, the most sacks of his career back in 2020 when Nick Bosa went down and he was playing all the time. Kerry Hyder does very well while playing for Chris Kosarek. So I like Hyder. I think he's doing well. And then, Jedi with a nice question here. This is an interesting one. Says, is Womack too small? He's my guy, but I got to know. I was having this conversation before practice with somebody in the media room. And one of the things, when you're looking through the secondary for the 49ers and you're trying to figure out who's going to make the roster, who's not. Sam Womack's going to make this roster. We're not sure, Ambry Thomas, does he make it or not? And what I mentioned is I think there's a lot of similarities between Womack and Thomas in that these two guys are always around the ball. They're always in tight coverage, but the problem is that they're not winning at the catch point. I don't know if it's a matter of being too small, maybe not having long enough arms. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they're right there all the time, and they're just not able to finish off the play, and that's a little frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating for them. I'm sure it's frustrating for the 49ers too. When you have a guy that's playing it so well, but just not finishing the playoff, and it's not because they're not finishing it like they're not finishing it themselves. I mean, they're not finishing it by not knocking the ball away and that type of thing. Hope that makes sense. Did Danny Gray get any more attempts after he dropped the touchdown? I don't remember if he did. I don't think so. Let's see what else we got. See, Blind Tom, he's the man. I don't know about you, Double B Steels, but Blind Tom, when he had his vasectomy, he was that night. He was doing a gig. He was doing all kinds of stuff. Hurt like a son of a bitch, but he was. Oh, I shouldn't have probably said that. But he had like heck like crazy. But he was out there and he was getting down with his band. So we all got to play hurt every once in a while. Double B Studio, and I'm not going to make fun of you anymore on that because trust me, I don't want to be worried about having to be hurt down there either. So um, let's get to it. Let's get to the rest of it. I want to get to talked about the quarterbacks, and they had a lot of offensive stuff to it. Now, on the defensive side, Tayshawn Gibson led the 49ers interceptions last year, doing the same so far in this training camp. Another interception today. First through 10 practices, he has 3 interceptions of Brock Purdy. Dre Greenlaw, we know what Greenlaw is. He was able to set up the interception for Gibson with the deflection on the throw to McCaffrey. Also showed off his speed when he chased down Christian McCaffrey on an outside run to hold him for no gain. Really nice play from Greenlaw. Just sideline to sideline linebackers. The 49ers have them all over the place. Demetrius Flanagan Fowles is another one. Talked about his 2 big plays, the interception, the knockaway. And today, the guy on the field, if I had to pick one player, I know that my thumbnail for this was Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, partly because they both had good days again today. I've already mentioned Greenlaw, but if I was going to talk about one defensive player that stood out, that just flashed all day long, every play, it seemed like, was number 56. Number 56 was disrupting the play, whether it was a pass, a run, whatever. But, he started off training camp. He was a little slowed by injuries. He's fine. He's coming back now. Today, he was all over the place. He had at least a couple of sacks that would have been sacks. The play keeps going, but a couple of times where he would have sacked the quarterback in the backfield. Number of times where he was generating pressure. So Austin Bryant finally back on the field, and his speed is just almost unstoppable. It was fantastic practice for him today. And this is the guy who health's been his biggest concern throughout his career. Like a lot of 49ers players, we 49ers have a lot of good players, and a lot of those good players, we don't see much of them because they're injured a lot. A guy like Elijah Mitchell on the offensive side comes to mind, right? Austin Bryant, tremendous practice today. We'll see if he can stack that up moving forward and what happens when we get out to Las Vegas. Drake Jackson, quiet day today for the most part, but he did show up early against the run. There was a run from Deebo Samuel on a run out to the right side. Jackson was able to get penetration, get up the field. That forced Samuel to bounce it a little, gain away from the line of scrimmage so he could get to the corner. But because of that, he wasn't actually able to get all the way to the corner. Jackson's penetration and making him bubble back allowed the rest of the defense to get over, and they were able to drop Samuel for no gain on the play. So really nice play out of Jackson there. And I heard that he was looked a little hobbled after practice. Hopefully it's not too much of an issue there. Clelin Ferrell, we've talked again, another 49ers defensive end. And when we talk about the 49ers defensive ends, we always focus on their ability to get to the quarterback. But playing defensive end, especially in the 49ers system, is about so much more than just getting after the quarterback. And for Clelin Ferrell today showed that he was able to set the edge really good in the run game, led to several tackles around the line of scrimmage for the rest of the 49ers defense, just doing a really good job stacking things up on the edge, forcing that run back inside where all of his teammates could make the play. So good stuff out of Clelin Ferrell today, I felt. Jalen Graham, mentioned him on Saturday, whatever today's Monday. So yeah, it would have been Saturday now. These practices have gone so long, I don't even know what day it is, but I believe today's Monday. And in the last practice that we're here was Saturday. That's what it says in my notes. Just read your notes, Jack. It talked about how he almost had an interception on Saturday. Today, he was able to really quickly diagnose a screen to Ty Davis Price, fire the shot, and get up there and drop Davis Price for no gain. So really, Jalen Graham continuing to kind of show up a little bit, making plays on that defensive side. He's right there on that bubble with the 49ers roster of getting in. Kevin Givens, I know he jumped off sides on the one, but he's a really solid rotational piece along that interior of the defensive line. Today, he broke through in the red zone drills. It would have been a sack on Sam Darnold down there. So Givens getting some pressure on there. That was the play that was the touchdown to Ray McLeod. I think that might have been a sack if that was a game because he got through pretty quickly playing against the backup right guard. I think it was Jason Poe, left guard, excuse me. Might have been Jason Poe. I'm not 100% certain on who it was he beat, but he beat him pretty quick and was in the backfield. Christian McCaffrey, you can talk about some of these guys all the time because we all know McCaffrey's one of the best players on the team. But he looked explosive today on those runs from the middle of the field, able to find holes for a number of runs over 5 yards. He had one where you could just the cut. It was an outside zone to the left, so everybody's moving to the left. He puts his foot in the ground and cuts back right at us. You can just kind of see you could see him move. You can kind of see the defense part, and he saw that and he exploded through it, and it's like a 14-yard gain. So really good stuff out of Christian McCaffrey there. And then I'm going to wrap it up with Ty Davis Price. You know, the second year back, he's just a different player right now. He looks much more comfortable in this offense. He's hitting the hole with regularity, which is nice. He's not running up the backs of people. And as a result, he's just getting upfield quicker, and he's got power. He's actually put on weight, but because it's muscle instead of fat, he looks lighter than he is. He's like 230 pounds of almost pure muscle, just a really strong looking running back. And I think he's putting some pressure on Jordan Mason for that second running back spot behind McCaffrey. Notice I didn't mention Elijah Mitchell because he's hurt again. And I don't know what's going to happen at that running back spot. But I think the issues with the injuries to Elijah Mitchell kind of make this a Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason discussion. Although we'll see what happens once Mitchell comes back. I'm sure they'll bounce him into the starting lineup again. It seems to be what they usually do. Let's see what we've got. We got some dink. Hey, I told you guys the other day, when it comes to this whole dink and dunk narrative, I bite my tongue a lot on this. I don't bite it way as much as I should. But if you're a 49er fan, you should be much smarter than to fall for this bullshit about a dink and dunk. If you grew up on, depending on where you were, if you watched Joe Montana win multiple Super Bowls with the 49ers, Joe Montana dinked and dunked the 49ers to 4 Super Bowls. Yeah, he had some big shots, but we talk a lot about yak and run after catch. Well, you guys are 49er fans are smart, right? So as a 49er fan, you understand that the term yak was generated back in the day when Bill Walsh was the head coach of the 49ers for the 49ers, because they throw the ball to Dwight Clark, who would catch the ball, a 5-yard run, catch. Next thing you know, it's a 15-yard gain. Freddie Solomon, catch the ball, short gain, short catch, couple-yard gain. Go back to 1989, 49ers in Los Angeles taking on the Rams, Monday Night Football. They're way behind. Joe Montana to John Taylor for 2 90-plus yard touchdowns. Joe Montana gets 2 90-plus yards touchdowns, and both of those were screens. He threw the ball about 8 yards, and he got 90 yards of credit on 2 of them. So dink and dunk, this whole dink and dunk thing, just going to get on my soapbox for a minute. It is one of the dumbest discussions that I've seen around the 49ers this offseason. And part of the reason that I believe that is because if you look at the stats across the NFL, 85% on average, 85% of the quarterbacks in the NFL, on average, the quarterbacks across the NFL, get it right, Jack, across the NFL, on average, 85% of the throws that quarterbacks make in the NFL are 19 yards or shorter. That means that there's only 15% of all throws that take place in an NFL season, on average, go beyond 20 yards. And there's a reason for it, because when you look at the best quarterbacks in the league, guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and whatever quarterback you think is the best in the league, if you take a second and look at what their numbers are when they throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield, their completion percentage is going to be around 40. And that's not good. That means you're completing only 2 out of every 5 passes. In the NFL, if you want to win, you've got to be able to move the sticks. You've got to be efficient. That's why the whole EPA that people talk about, and they say it's not a quarterback stat. Well, in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. But the whole dink and dunk stuff, that's can we drop this? You guys have been, that got brought up as, the dink and dunk thing got brought up as a way to knock Brock Purdy, right? Brock Purdy is a dink and dunk quarterback. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, fine. Don't believe what I'm saying. Listen to Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what a dink and dunk quarterback is. If you don't believe Brock, if you don't want to believe him, listen to Steve Young, who will tell you that if you doubt Brock Purdy, he's going to make you look stupid. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, I tend to agree with him. We'll see. If you don't believe Steve Young, that's fine. Listen to Jeff Garcia. Jeff Garcia is an Pro Bowl quarterback from the 49ers. He made the Pro Bowl as a 49er quarterback. And guess what? He is a big believer when it comes to Brock Purdy. He even said a lot of the guy that came up with this whole dink and dunk thing says that one of his favorite quarterbacks is, Jeff Garcia was a really good quarterback for the 49ers. Well, guess what? Jeff Garcia says that Brock Purdy reminds him of him. So let's knock it off. Brock Purdy, he's going to dink and dunk the ball, whatever. If we want to get into the whole dink and dunk thing, we can do that with what we've seen so far in training camp with Trey Lance, because Trey Lance has been dinking and dunking the ball in this training camp, and he has been doing a hell of a job of moving the 49ers offense for most of training camp. So efficiency is the name of the game in the NFL. Efficiency is what leads to big things. Now, do you need to be able to have the threat of a deep throw? Absolutely. You have to have a threat, and the threat with Brock Purdy had that threat. When he stepped into the game against in his first start against Tampa Bay, guess what? They blitzed the hell out of him. Just like Miami had blitzed them. They tried to put pressure. They said, hey, you beat us deep. We're going to shut you down here. You got to go over the top. And what did he do? He went over the top, touchdown to Christian McCaffrey. Went over the top, touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. You get to the game against Washington. They decide to do that again. What happened? Over the top, touchdown to George Kittle, who stole the ball away from Ray McLeod. So let's just understand what's going on. And hey, this is one of those things, when it comes to me, and I do not have I have no problem accepting that this triggers me. And it triggers me because I think it's bullshit. I think that the only way that you think that that Brock Purdy is a dink and dunk quarterback is because you don't know what you're watching. And I think I don't have a problem with saying that. And in terms of underthrowing receivers, yeah, okay, he's overthrown. He's overthrown at least 3 out of 6 or 7. He's overthrown Deebo Samuel twice now. He's overthrown Juwan Jennings at least once now. He connected with George Kittle on a throw down the left sideline that was underthrown. He's underthrown a couple of balls that got broken up. It is what it is. So Thomas, I'll address whatever I want to address, especially when it gets brought up by the folks in my comment section. I appreciate you for watching, and you might not like it, but here's the thing. This has been a topic that's gone on around the 49ers this offseason, and it was brought up over here by the folks in the comment section, and I decided I was going to address it. I appreciate you watching, and I'm sorry that I know you're a big fan of a specific quarterback, and so to you probably think there's dinking and dunking going on. Oh, well, that's the way it works. Hey, again, let's wrap this up on a positive. 49ers defense had a big day today. The 49ers defense is going to need to be big if they're going to go to the Super Bowl. We hear a lot of talk about can these 49ers quarterbacks beat Patrick Mahomes? Can these 49ers quarterbacks beat Josh Allen? Can they beat those guys? And I'm just going to say this. The 49ers quarterbacks are not going to beat anybody if their defense doesn't play well. So for their defense to go out there and kick the snot out of the offense today, that bodes well for this 49ers team, because if this is going to be a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, they're going to need this defense to make big plays and to get things going. So there you have it. Today, Brock Purdy, 8 of 17, 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown run, and interception. Sam Darnold, 6 of 9, 1 touchdown. Trey Lance, 3 of 7 with an interception. Brandon Allen, 3 of 4, dinking and dunking the hell of the ball in the red zone. So there you go. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. If you guys can do me a favor, we talked about it a couple times through the show. Boom, hit that like button for me. After you hit the like button, also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Sorry if I got you upset when I got into the dink and dunk thing, but here's the one cool part about me. I'm always going to tell you how I feel. I'm always going to be honest with you. And sometimes you're not going to like it, and sometimes you're going to love it. So I appreciate that. I hope you appreciate the honesty from me. I hope you appreciate the fact that I'm just going to give it to you straight, and I'm going to let you know exactly what I think and give you my honest evaluation every day. Have a great night, everybody. Also, make sure you hit that. If you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the content. I will be back here tomorrow for practice. I will be out in Las Vegas for practice on Thursday and Friday. Have a great one, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be talking with you soon. Thank you for what it's worth. Have a great day, everybody.